To date, Twin Flames Universe has had 3 documentaries made about them and countless articles surrounding their practices. They have even been labeled a cult by leading cult experts. Now they're begging us to stop calling them a cult and stop giving them that label. Today, we're digging deep into the Twin Flames universe and we're going to figure out, do they really deserve this label? Let's use the bite model to figure it out. To satisfy legal speak and any copyright claims, all clips were obtained legally from YouTube and are available publicly. They are being used in this video under the Fair Use Act to educate the public about cults and high control groups and all of the tactics that they use. All opinions are my own. Any allegations against the group are just that, allegations, until they're proven otherwise in a court of law. Under no circumstances am I condoning the harassment of any of the people featured here. Don't stalk them, don't go on social media and bother them in any way, shape, or form. We don't do that here. Twin Flames Universe, or sometimes referred to as TFU, began back in 2012 by 2 people who fell in love on the internet and started documenting their love story on YouTube. In 2025, they have expanded to a dining service that provides recipes by email for a monthly fee, an ascension school that they claim will help you heal spiritually to align with your twin flame, a mind alignment process, otherwise known as MAP, which claims to cure PTSD, a gaming company, and a church. Perhaps what they're best known for is the mirror exercise, which experts say is a dangerous technique that gaslights the members into taking blame for everything that's ever happened in their lives. Let's take a look at that.
Are you upset or something bothering you? Do the mirror exercise. Learn in this short video how to heal your upsets by loving yourself, using the mirror exercise taught by Jeff and Shaleia. It teaches you how to love yourself from within and take your power back from anything outside of you that is making you unhappy. In this example, we see how Susie heals herself from feeling rejected. Step 1. Identify the upset. I am upset at Bob because he is rejecting me. Step 2. Change all of the nouns and pronouns to point to yourself. I am upset at myself because I am rejecting myself. Step 3. Is this true? Hint, the answer is always yes. Yes, I reject myself because I always tell myself I don't deserve love. I am doing this to myself, what Bob does to me. Step 4. Give yourself the love that you need. Go within to meet that part of you who feels upset. Ask what it needs to feel loved and give it until that part is satisfied, and let that part melt back into you. I see my inner child. She just needs a nice warm blanket and a loving hug. I feel she's becoming one with me. How do you feel now? I feel completely loved and accepted. After you have completed the mirror exercise, the same situation either stops happening or it's simply not upsetting you anymore. The more you use this tool, the more you find that you have the power to transform your life. To find the more...
My first question, for clarity purposes, is what is an upset? The dictionary describes it as being unhappy, disappointed, or worried. Using this technique can be very, very, very toxic. And when we shift our mindset, we sit with our feelings and healthily acknowledge them. We may be disappointed that that dreamy human is just not interested in us, but that's not something we can actually control. Nobody is under any obligation to be attracted to you. The sooner you realize that, the sooner you can move on. TFU, however, doesn't follow any of that thinking. Members have alleged, with video evidence, that they were encouraged to be honey badgers and get what they want one way or another. Some have had restraining orders and even jail time, as referenced in the Netflix documentary Escaping Twin Flames. There is a lot of information on the group leading up to 2023. And then it went pretty quiet in the cult sphere, which is likely due to having hired a reputation management company. There was a member video where some high ranking members talked about how much they've been helped through this process and how they were most definitely not in a cult. In 2025, CTV did an amazing documentary on them, and it's an hour and a half long. I desperately wanted to watch this whole thing and comment as we went through it, but that would make for like a 3-hour video. So I had to trim it way down. I'm going to leave the link in the description so you can watch it in full because it is definitely worth the watch, but I pulled out some highlights for us to discuss.
Over the past year and a half, Simmer has spent more than $20,000. She hasn't yet found her twin flame, but insists it's money well spent.
I didn't know how to regulate my emotions, and then with my coach, very, very gradually over time, I actually started to feel my feelings. So I truly believe that I will manifest and attract my partner in a very peaceful, healthy way, hopefully, yes.
Simmer isn't alone in this interview. Every word is being monitored by the woman on the other end of Simmer's phone.
Rebecca?
Rebecca isn't part of the Twin Flames universe. She is their gatekeeper, hired by Jeff and Shaleia.
To me, like, Simmer being able to switch coaches shows into, like, they're not a cult, because if you were in a cult, there's no way that would be allowed, you know?
Rebecca, can I call you Rebecca? Where are you getting your information from? The fact that you're on FaceTime with this woman while she's doing an interview that was actually set up by Jeff and Shaleia is a glaring red flag. This is a form of behavior control, the be in our bite model.
Rebecca is with a crisis management firm in the US called Red Banyan. They do reputation repair to control the narrative and portray your business in a positive light in the press. In a phone call with Jeff, Shaleia, and the PR company, I made it clear.
Just a shout out here, the CTV team, they did an amazing job with this. Right on, you guys. You rock.
Our company, I made it clear we'd be digging into all of the allegations against her. Angie says she was indoctrinated, sucked in at her most vulnerable.
I had been diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and so I became very fascinated with spirituality. They seemed to be exactly what I was looking for.
The minute she signed up for a class, she felt it: love, acceptance, belonging.
I was so love bombed when I first joined.
Love bombing is a classic cult tactic meant to pull you in. It falls under the E for emotional control in the bite model.
Here's Angie in an old video explaining it to other followers.
It was revealed to me that my biggest core block was that I wasn't claiming my feminine energy. I was rejecting my feminine energy so much that I actually manifested ovarian and uterine cancer. Shaleia gave me like some really great advice to look at, feminine role models.
To heal her feminine block, Angie started wearing bright red lipstick and skirts. And she bombarded her so-called twin flame with emails, even followed Jeff and Shaleia's suggestion to just show up at his house.
This just absolutely pisses me off. This poor woman has been through so much, but she is rocking that lipstick color. This is a form of behavior control, though, aside from just being plain out terrible advice.
I absolutely poured my heart out and told him everything. He goes like, you have no idea how crazy all this sounds. Yeah, and told me like not to contact him, not to ever talk about it again, or else he was going to charge me with harassment. And then he ended up like he blocked me.
Your twin flame, maybe they don't like you. Maybe they don't want anything, maybe they blocked you. Maybe they don't want anything to do with you. I'm gonna promise you, if you follow me, they are gonna fall madly in love with you. I pinky promise. Okay, but you got a pinky promise you're gonna follow me and not be afraid. All right? I sealed that with a kiss.
I would put this in both behavior and emotional control categories, the Pinky Promise brings back a sense of nostalgia. It touches on our emotions from childhood, where pinky swears were like the ultimate promises.
Jeff and Shaleia introduced the concept of soul family, pairing up followers into spiritual family members.
This is a way for them to isolate their followers from their flesh and blood family members and all of their friends. It's common in cults, and unfortunately, there are still some family members waiting to reunite with their loved ones in this group.
The entire Twin Flames universe business model is built like a pyramid. New students at the bottom, then students who have paid tens of thousands of dollars to become coaches. Above them, master coaches who have paid even more. At the very top, Jeff and Shaleia. Students paid them thousands directly for online group meetings, and then hundreds a month to coaches for one-on-one counseling. Each coach is also expected to pay for sessions with other coaches, and all coaches have to give 50% of their earnings to Jeff and Shaleia.
Okay, let's do some Mandy math. Coaching is $550 a month, so every coach has to give Jeff and Shaleia 50%. That leaves them with $225 per client. So they need 2 clients to pay for Jeff and Shaleia and for their coaching, just to break even. Financial control falls under behavior control. We can encapsulate it into all of the letters, though, since essentially there is an echo chamber as part of the information they receive. The thought control from coaching and the emotional control, as financial insecurity is emotionally taxing.
Everyone in this pyramid is expected to work to bring new members in.
It just becomes your whole life.
It's not just sapping their money, it's also their time. When Victoria was a follower, there was an entire management structure, staffed almost exclusively by volunteer followers. Victoria held a slew of jobs, including head of security.
Did you ever get paid? Over the years in the roles that I had, I got paid $25.
While the public face of the community was all about love.
You. My business depends on all of you. And I want to make sure that all of you are doing your f***ing jobs.
Recorded meetings revealed Jeff berating followers for not volunteering enough of their time to build the business.
I need you to take on a job at Twin Flames Universe. If you want to dilly-dally, you're going to burn. And if you can't honestly uphold your position, get the f*** out of it, because we're going to bulldoze you over. So no more of this f***ery, of this, ballyhoo, this nonsense, this bananery.
Victoria says followers were so beaten down, they actually believed Jeff's rage was a sign of love.
He'll curse you out, he'll call you names, and then he'll say he's doing it out of love to help heal your ego and shock your system so that you can heal. He's telling you, this is good, I'm loving you through this.
That is yet another cult tactic. The leaders will make you believe that they love you so much, and they're doing what's best for you with whatever punishment they seem fit to dish out.
And if they showed any resistance, they were told to do the mirror exercise and heal their disobedience.
As soon as you have any type of negative emotion, you have to use their mirror exercise to, quiet down any questioning, any skepticism. It is very high controlling, because anything that you do that steps out of line of what they deem as appropriate is met with discipline or punishment.
And what does discipline or punishment look like in the Twin Flames universe?
It's usually a financial punishment. Most of the people that are in that group are coaches, and their primary financial income revolves around Twin Flames Universe. So you can be stripped of your ability to coach.
Who's going to get the new clients? The ones who work and produce the most value within our new system. Lazy Bones is 1, no longer going to get clients funneled to them, and 2, no longer going to hold a position which holds everyone else up.
Right here, folks, Jeff is threatening to cut off their only source of income as they are financially dependent on the group.
Has Christ come again? He's got the beard and the hair. And could I be the Christ? I'm not hiding anything. Like, I'm literally telling you I'm Christ. God's been telling us, we're the second coming of the Christ.
The images of Jesus, it's the image of Jeff. That's the prophecy you've been looking for. I'm banging the Christ.
Did you catch that? That's the prophecy you've been looking for. This is a form of thought control. A person who is seeking their spiritual self would think, yeah, she's right. Jeff does look like Jesus. It's a sign from God.
You're my student. You do not school me. If you think that you understand something better than me, by all means, bring it to the table. I invite you to challenge my spiritual mastery. I encourage you. I dare you. But I assure you, you probably don't. And if you don't want to bring it to the table, then you should shut the fuck up and listen.
More thought control here. Jeff wants us all to believe that he is the kingpin when it comes to spirituality.
Homosexuality doesn't even really exist. If you're really two masculine energies having sex, you're just shaking hands because it's not your twin flame anyway.
Jeff and Shaleia teach that every person is either 100% masculine or 100% feminine. There is no in between. And that a twin flame union can only exist between a masculine and a feminine.
A gender, it's just an identity role, meaning it's not real. You can change it.
This is a form of information control. No, you cannot change how you feel inside. A transgender person has as much control over how they feel about their assigned identity at birth as a cisgender person does. Nobody wakes up one day and says, oh, hey, I'm going to be the opposite gender. Then I have the genitals of because it sounds fun. Stop spreading misinformation. The trans community gets enough hate thrown at them.
You had to tell people, hey, God through Jeff is telling you that you're actually not a woman, you're a man. How did they take that?
Horribly. I mean, the look in their eyes is haunting. Anytime that someone would resist, we would have to report back and be like, oh, this person didn't want to accept that they're a man. Jeff and Shaleia would then mark them on a list of people who needed to be watched and continually forced to accept.
This is another cult tactic, spying and reporting information back to the leader. In many cults and high control groups, there are systems like this set up so that all the higher ranking people always watch those below them and then they report back to their leaders or the group leader or whatever.
Jeff and Shaleia had a message for those who were struggling with their new pairings and their new genders. Disobeying them was disobeying God.
So when God tells you something, you need to respect it. If he says that's your twin flame, respect it. If he says you are this, respect it. And sometimes it's going to be really, really, really hard. But if you don't, then you're a coward.
Okay, but God isn't telling people this. You are telling people this. Are you claiming to be a prophet here who gets all this information from God? This is most certainly a cult leader tactic, a form of behavior and thought control all in one.
And this is so that you understand that your choice has been out of order, so you can make a new choice.
Your choice has been out of order. What does that even mean? It's yet another sign of a cult. They make up their own buzzwords and propaganda so that only those in the know can understand them.
You can respect God's word, or you can throw a tantrum and be a little jerk, be an immature child, and then you're going to get spanked by the universe. Until you take the position of a completely obedient child, you're not going to be happy.
They call it the all-seeing eye for a reason. You cannot escape God's gaze. Why would you want to?
Coercive control is very real, and it's done over time.
Your thoughts are controlled. You can't feel anger. You can't feel sadness. You can't be upset. So you're just like this zombie, like a walking shell of who you really are.
And it doesn't happen overnight. You don't walk into a door and it's this full wackadoodle story. It's like the frog in the pot. You turn it 1 degree at a time, and then suddenly you're boiling.
She is absolutely spot on with this analogy. Nobody who's in a cult thinks, hey, I'm going to go join a cult for funsies. It's a long, slow process to get indoctrinated.
Jeff and Shaleia say no one else lives with them in the house. That wasn't always the case. Select students were invited to live with them as part of something called spiritual boot camp.
Here's the team. Boot camp team, what's up?
The promise was you're going to heal a lot because you're going to be really close to Jeff and Shaleia. They're the guru. They're like the master Christ, the master healers.
Keely Griffin was a CEO in the Twin Flames universe. Before she left, she compiled evidence, videos, and screen grabs of the way students were treated in the home.
Shout out to Keely here because that's some really, really hard stuff to pull off. Rock on, girl.
They were given a 14-page manual, not with spiritual teachings, but meticulous instructions on how to care for their dog and how to keep their house clean. Students had to waive their rights as tenants and sign this NDA with a $10,000 fine for breaking it.
I tried to capture some of the conversations just to show like how much control he has over these people and how horribly he treats them.
When you do my laundry, the white pants should be washed separately. Thank you.
Will do. Thank you. Dinner is served.
Chicken was tough for lunch. Steak is overcooked and tough. Waffles were underbaked.
Thank you for letting us know. We will improve.
They're doing everything for Jeff and Shaleia, but they'll never be able to do it correctly. Like everything is a spiritual lesson, but really it's just an opportunity for Jeff to berate them and make them feel like nothing.
In the group chat, Shaleia, called Amma or Mother, launches a text tirade about clumsy cleaning before 6:30 in the morning.
Do your inner work or go back to mommy's shitty trash hole.
Can't say a nice word to you guys since you always relapse.
This is why you don't get treated with kindness and appreciation. You make people pity you. This is what you feed off. Pity. How sad.
That's gross, TBH.
When the boot camp student apologizes, Jeff texts back.
Groveling and being afraid of me don't make me respect you.
The student texts,
I will take responsibility for my mistakes and learn.
High control groups often have students living with them as house staff. Unfortunately, it's common to never achieve perfection either.
The detectives showed up at my door to investigate me, and they were breathing down my throat to try to find out if, I was some psycho cult leader brainwashing people. Like, big scary Jeff and Shaleia. We're gonna come and eat your children. Today we're gonna talk about how to survive a twin flame cult.
In the wake of the media frenzy and the police visits, Jeff posted this strangely edited video online.
What is a cult? A cult is like where an organization is systematically sapping you of your energy for its own insane ideas. And if you're in a twin flame cult, they're going to want your money. That's obvious. It's kind of hard to get into a cult on the internet, isn't it?
So, there was this mystical time before the internet, which, a lot of people, Gen Zers, and don't remember, below. But leaders used to control their groups by snail mail or phone calls. Sometimes, in some sects, it still happens. For instance, Warren Jeffs is still allegedly controlling his cult through phone calls from prison. This is an example of attempting to control the narrative. He's just pissed off.
How you know? How are you gonna drink the poison if it's on the internet? Like, don't you have to like be a part of a community like that all, lives on a farm or something?
A farm? Well, guess what?
They wanted me to start building this farm that the coaches were going to live in Michigan.
A compound.
A compound, yeah.
Keely says Jeff and Shaleia pressured her to find farmland and move to Michigan. And when she didn't,
they told us, like, you need to make this move now, or you are completely out of alignment with your guru, and like bad things are going to happen.
Out of alignment with your guru, more cult language. And of course, bad things are going to happen if you leave. That's a fear tactic to control behavior.
16 followers now live in northern Michigan.
It's very hard to interview someone about whether or not they're brainwashed, because if you're brainwashed, you wouldn't know.
I mean,
I guess.
Do brainwashed people know that they're brainwashed? I don't think they do.
No, I don't think that they do. I feel like I would sense that, or there would be an understanding.
No, I don't think that they know they're brainwashed. And from what I've heard it described as, it's a shelf kind of in the back of your head that when you start to wake up, if you wake up, it's a bunch of little things that go on this shelf, and then it finally just collapses. And once it's done, then you realize that you're in a cult. But until then, you're just kind of like, oh, it's all good in the hood.
They were not a part of that, so we figured that out on our own. So, yeah.
We just started talking on our own and developed a friendship.
But a different story emerges in this text conversation between former follower Angie and Brianne.
Why you lying? Behavior control, perhaps? Doing what you're told?
From right before Brianne's harmonious union was announced to the community. Adam is messaging me, and I'm paranoid because I don't want him to be my TF, twin flame. I don't want to. This is upsetting to me. Brianne shares a screen grab of her telling Adam she's upset and doesn't feel an attraction. Adam texts back, I'm sorry you're upset. This is what God has presented me with, and I've fully devoted to him. It's been a lot to process today as well. I don't see it, she texts Angie with a picture of her and Adam. Brianne writes that the harmonious union has been confirmed by her coach, Keely, and then goes on to describe Adam as lazy and messy, that she's repulsed by him, and that the last thing she wants is to be intimate with him.
In this next scene, watch Adam. His breathing gets heavier. Now, I'm no body language expert, but I am a mom, and being a mom, I've picked up on certain things over the years, and that's the look of, oh shit, this is making me very uncomfortable right now.
You didn't speak to other people and say that you had zero desire for Adam and that you did not want this pairing to go ahead.
Well, I mean, there were, like, me and Adam were moving through upsets in our union, and I probably shared something from, upsets, but it was an upset. It was something that I was healing through, right? It wasn't, it was just an upset. It was something that I healed.
This allegation that people are being pressured, coerced, or led into making a decision about their gender is horrifying.
Yeah. Well, I agree that would be a concern, right? It's like if that was a thing, then...
18 members of the Twin Flames universe have transitioned.
When you look at the numbers, do you find that at all unusual?
But I don't feel like it's so many, though.
Okay, that is a lot of people in one little group. The trans community is 0.5% of the population in the United States, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense that 18 of them would just happen upon this group and God help them realize their true path. I know a lot of trans people, and I am very supportive of the trans and LGBTQIA plus community as a whole, and there aren't that many people who are transgender to all of a sudden They just all fall into this great adventure with Jeff and Shaleia, and then suddenly God tells them, oh, they're transgender. That's not usually how it happens. From my understanding, a transgender person feels differently inside from the time that they realize about bodies and things. So I think this is bullshit.
We don't know how many were questioning their gender before joining the group, and they insist they weren't pressured. It was their choice to transition.
These clients are coming in with all sorts of issues, like being molested as children, and then they're told by the coaches to just do the mirror exercise.
Which means you take responsibility for your own abuse.
Exactly, like, that's your fault now, which is like just so traumatizing in itself. I was in these sessions listening to people telling me, I'm suicidal. I don't want to be here anymore.
One female student did commit suicide in 2019. Nothing was allowed to be talked about in the main Facebook group, and people had to chat privately to even acknowledge that this happened. This is information control. They did not want people to know about this.
What kind of training do you have to take people into their trauma?
Coaches are consistently having evaluations and things of that nature to make sure that they're just checks and balances.
And who's doing the checks and balances?
Who does the checks and balances?
Well, those are the most experienced coaches, basically.
You guys are the most experienced.
Yeah.
What is the checks and balances?
Well, you got to make sure they're, following, you like to be a coach, like you can't just go off on your own. Like we're not responsible for people's health, and that's for their doctor to take care of, right?
In this video, Jeff clearly outlines his reasons for setting up the Church of Union.
You're basically taxed at a share level, and then you're taxed again at an income level. So
sounds like death to me.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good.
I've got the solution.
Yes, what's that?
We're going to turn part of our company into a religion.
Oh, good.
Just like that, the religion is born.
So a very small company, licensed stuff to the religion, who will pay us all of the money that is earned through it. This way, our shit's completely protected forever and ever. Nothing can ever hurt us. We pay no taxes on that part of the company. And in this way, I don't have to pay people. I can just have volunteers. And and no one sues a religion. And also it opens us up to receive donations.
Mm.
Yeah, this is much more marketable for us too.
This is more marketable, I think.
They started out by saying we're not a religion and we don't even like religion. And then somewhere along the lines, when they realized that they could pay less taxes, they thought it would be a good idea for them to become a church.
Chrissy and Jason Emmerich are the directors of the Church of Union. In fact, Chrissy is in charge of church finances.
There is videotape of Jeff categorically saying the Church of Union is going to be set up so we can avoid paying taxes, right?
It's not true. Like that is not accurate information.
These are his words.
Right, but that's not what's happening.
Would you be comfortable opening up your books on the Church of Union to show full transparency and what's coming in and what's going out?
Ultimately, that's not my decision to make.
Jeff and Shaleia refused that request, and so we dug up the publicly available tax filings.
Over a 4-year period, the Church of Union claimed more than $500,000 in expenses. They don't even have a physical church. This is mostly just YouTube sermons.
$39,000 in legal fees, some to pay for defamation lawsuits. $45,000 for PR support, almost $100,000 on IT expenses, and $260,000 for independent contractors and something called contractor programming. Jeff and Shaleia refused our requests for more details on just where that $250,000 went. We did discover this credit listing the church as an investor in one of their for-profit companies called Divine Gaming.
You're the financial officer for the Church of Union.
Yes.
So if there were ever to be discovered fraud, you would be the one that would be kind of holding the bag for that.
Yes, I think I would be involved in that, of course, because I'm the one that's doing the finances, and we've talked to specialists and experts to make sure that we're doing everything properly, and we will continue to do that.
I have a feeling that she's going to eat her words at some point. Like, you know, when she ends up on trial for tax fraud or something. I'm not a lawyer, so don't take my word for it, but it is relatively common for someone other than the leader to be culpable in the event that something happens illegally.
We know the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, has gathered information on the Church of Union. They tell us federal privacy laws prohibit them from confirming or denying ongoing investigations.
Now, I want to let you watch this entire part of the video with Jeff and Shaleia while they're interviewed. I did take out the part about their daughter because I don't think that kids should be seen on YouTube, but that's my personal opinion, and she's just a little girl. So if you want to see all of that, it's in the original, so go check it out. The link's in the description. I'm going to try to shut up through this.
Jeff and Shaleia Divine have a long list of allegations against them. They deny every single one and say they are the victims of cancel culture.
There are people who paint you both as puppet masters, as cult leaders, who have a level of control over people who are very vulnerable.
We are not puppet masters. We are not over-exercising our control to get people to do things that we want them to do. I appreciate this opportunity to be able to share our side of the story, to tell people, like, you may not believe me.
He stops looking at me and makes a direct appeal to camera.
Please hear what we have to say. Please listen to our students. They are not brainwashed. This is not a cult. This is a textbook example of cancel culture.
Explain that for me.
Well, you know, I think she's probably the better person to explain that. She's the one doing all the studying of it all.
Well, there was a reaction towards us, and it got shared all around the internet, and it got picked up, and then it just kept snowballing and snowballing.
You have described yourself as the Master Christ.
It's a spiritual exploration. And, you know, this cancel culture takes everything super out of context to make it look like I'm some megalomaniac who's using these strange titles to claim power, or they say that I think I'm Jesus, and that's just so silly.
But you have said you think you're Jesus.
Where do you have me quoted saying I think I'm Jesus? That's absurd. I've never said that. Holy, holy, holy. I figure y'all...
But he has said this.
And I'm not hiding anything. Like, I'm literally telling you I'm Christ.
Because God's been telling us, you know, we're the second coming of the Christ.
I'm banging the Christ. With all the pictures we see depicted of Jesus, he kind of looks that way, and so like, haha, you know, I'm with Jesus. He's not Jesus. I don't believe that at all.
None of my students think I'm Jesus.
Ironically, I believe her. I do want to point out, though, that what many white European men with long hair and beards look like the white Jesus. Those pictures are made to look like them. Jesus was not a white European man, though, so it's not an accurate portrayal of Jesus.
Have you told people to change genders?
We encourage people to explore. And I hesitate to answer that question in the way that I'm feeling led to answer that question, which is yes or no. But the reality is...
It kind of is a yes or no, Jeff. Like, it kind of is.
There's context here. The answer to your question is we encourage people to explore their spiritual, their inner world. And it's just an invitation to explore.
Except in the concerns about Twin Flames Universe, the biggest, most harmful allegation is that you are dictating people's gender and that they are taking it to extreme lengths, including having surgeries and hormone therapies and changing their gender.
Wow.
And so I think it's a fair question.
Of course.
That's a yes or a no, and there's not really a ton of nuance in it.
Great.
So is it a yes or a no?
We've invited people to explore their gender.
And that invitation to explore gender comes from God?
No, it comes from a human talking to a human.
No, but do you get the message from God that someone is in the wrong gender?
If you could give me a moment to collect myself. Thank you. God is a loving being. God wants the best for us. I am not God. I have never claimed to be God.
So my question was, do you get a message from God about somebody's gender?
It doesn't work that way, no.
There's no channeling from God about what someone's gender should be?
So we as professionals get intuitive hits, you might say. Hey, this might be a good idea. It's explorative. Like this heavy frame is just not the reality.
But Jeff, it's a heavy consequence to have kind of a whim that someone might be a different gender.
It's not a whim. I get how this all looks, but it's just not true.
Jeff was saying, like, we could see on the spiritual horizon, and because Jeff and I, like, we live in twin flame union, it's like we see color where someone is colorblind. Like, we can see that.
And first, I hardly believe that the LGBTQ plus community would agree that changing your gender is an entirely harmful thing.
It's absolutely not a harmful thing unless someone else is telling you that you are the wrong gender.
Sure.
And then it's a very harmful thing.
This is not, once again, it's not something that's imposed upon you. You can't impose things upon people on their spiritual journey.
We were their, like, direct guide. They can choose not to do it or not to, you know, like.
If you have an element of control over them or sway over them.
Okay.
And they hear you say that and they know that it will please you.
We don't encourage that kind of power dynamic.
Yeah.
You don't?
No.
No.
Really?
You're my student. You do not school me. You should shut the up and listen.
Your choice has been out of order, so you can make a new choice.
We're very flexible with allowing freedom. But where freedom is abused, it will be taken from you.
You probably have seen me yelling at my students. It's not abuse. In fact, people felt really loved and cared for when I would yell at them in classes. They felt like someone cares about me enough to yell at me, because it's uncomfortable to yell at people. I don't want to do that if I don't have to, but I love these people. And so I put myself on the line in order to be able to help people.
But the people who are on the receiving end of that, who are
Sure.
no longer part of the community,
Okay.
felt bullied and manipulated and exploited by you.
Of course. Is it okay if I grab some water?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Do you know where my Fiji went?
No. You may need to get a new one.
Okay, that's fine.
So, Jeff, you talk about yelling at people lets them know that you actually are showing them love.
No, but kind of.
In this topsy-turvy universe, love is expressed in anger, and hate is a consequence of love.
Why are you the lightning rod for so much hate?
I think because we love people.
It doesn't make sense, Jeff. The equation doesn't add up. People who love don't usually receive hate.
That's
just don't.
not true. That's not true. Look at history.
Okay, tell me.
Well, I'm not the.
Well, you look at, for instance, like a lot of like historical figures like Martin Luther King.
Dr. King was hated by some white people because they were racist pieces of shit. They hated him because he went against their idea of a perfect society and wanted a better world for all of us. There are still racist pieces of shit in this world, sadly, but there are many of us who stand up against them.
You know, like I grew up Catholic, so I think of Jesus, you know, like he was just loving everybody, even though it was difficult.
When you love people deeply, it touches parts of their hearts and themselves that are hurt. And so that can cause that hurt to come out.
Jeff and Shaleia deny they set up the church to evade taxes and deny they are exploiting followers financially.
What are the different businesses that are in the Twin Flames universe umbrella?
I mean, we're here to talk about Twin Flames.
But that's part of it, right?
What are you here to talk about? Like, you know, I'm not trying to be evasive here, but like, you're starting to get into a whole lot more subject.
Did you guys set up the church specifically to avoid taxes?
No.
We're the church's largest donor. It's designed to support the spiritual community and the spiritual teaching.
Yeah.
So there was no videotape discussion about how to avoid paying taxes and setting up a church?
In business, it's very normal to minimize your tax burden. Why would you pay more taxes than you are supposed to? We've always ensured we pay our fair share of taxes. You can't avoid the tax person. There's no way around that.
There are PR fees in your church filings.
Okay.
Well, how does that get explained?
I mean, our whole community came together to pay that. Like we're all paying to support.
Is impacted by what happened. It didn't just happen to Jeff and I. It happened to everyone that's in our community.
But why would that come out of the church?
It comes out of the whole community of which we are a part and of which we contribute to the largest amount.
What are you guys doing to make money? Like you're making money off the coaches because they're giving you 50% of their salary.
What you're saying is, what do we do to make money?
Exactly.
You're asking me really, what do I do to provide value for my community?
No, what do you do to make money?
Well, I provide value for my community.
But just in terms of bringing money in to support your lifestyle, where does that money come from?
Well, the money is, okay, so it's fine, it's fair. Might not look like I have a particular, job like, making the food. Actually, one of my jobs is making the food. And I do design the menus for Divine Dish. It's a creative level things. It's entrepreneurial endeavor. If there's some sort of perception that we don't do anything, we're just profiting all, it's absolutely upside down. We work incredibly hard. And
Twice in the interview, Jeff, out of the blue, starts crying over his love for Jesus.
We all share in that. I grew up Catholic, and I left the religion in the church because of their stance on gay marriage. I felt that if two people loved each other, they should, I'm very passionate about this. They should be allowed to get married.
Then why are you preaching that there can only be a man and a woman if you support gay marriage? I don't get it. If you support gay marriage so much that you walked away from your church and how much you love Jesus, and you're going to cry for us twice about how much you love Jesus, and it hurts you so bad, then why are you preaching against gay marriage? I don't get it. Explain this to one to me, okay? Leave me a comment if you must, Jeff. I just want to know. I don't understand your thought process.
It was so painful to leave my church. I have so much love for Jesus. And it was so hard for me to leave that all behind and follow my truth. But it was the right thing to do.
Do you think that it's possible that you will one day see inviting people to explore the divine masculinity as a silly idea that you should move away from?
Yeah.
Part of your...
Yeah, any of it. There's no sacred cows here. Like, even the twin flame concept, it's okay if it's misproven.
Followers have moved countries, married strangers, changed genders, based on teachings that no longer seem set in stone.
You guys are on a journey that people are following very closely because they believe in you.
Yeah.
And you're experimenting with things that...
They know that we're experimenting.
They know we're experimenting. Trust me, people have a mind of their own in our spiritual community, and
very much so.
They don't always listen to us and that's okay. I don't really care. It's your life.
Is this all going to come crashing down?
No.
No, I think if anything, we're only going to continue to thrive.
Why are you getting all misty-eyed?
I'm thinking about Jesus. You know, my love for Jesus. Yeah, just thinking about that.
How is your relationship?
It's really good.
So good.
Yeah, we're very happy. We're very in love. So we'll start to cry. Yeah. It's very it's very sacred to us. It's like our altar.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I love Jeff with my whole heart, and I'll be with him forever. I've never been so happy in my entire life. I'm such a better person, and I love myself so much, and he's taught me that.
But the business doesn't continue without that love for each other, right? It's all built on your twin flame union.
Yeah, our whole life is. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's built on our relationship with God.
Yeah.
So I would rather not be in a world without God. If God isn't real, then take me away. I don't want any part of that. I believe God is real, and I built everything on him.
They're not victims, and they're not brainwashed. They're very smart people, and they can choose to be with Twin Flames Universe or not be with Twin Flames Universe.
This is online. You can just close your browser and we can't do anything.
I'm not going to stop until something is done to hold Jeff and Shaleia accountable, and I hope that Jeff and Shaleia know that.
I have so many questions after watching this, but what I don't question is the many tactics that have been used here and how they can be associated with a cult. If it looks like a honey badger, walks like a honey badger, goes after it like a honey badger, it's a honey badger. So I'm curious though what you think. Let me know down below, what do you think? Do you think that TFU deserves this cult label? Let me know. And until next time, don't join an MLM and don't join a cult. Peace.